Hello, my name is Ed Zackery, Director of the Medina County Veterans Service Office, and you're watching Salute to Service, a local show about veterans and their service, and how that service put them on a journey to where they are today. Today we're going to be talking to U.S. Army veteran, Mr. Carl DeForest. Welcome to this month's Salute to Service, our pilot show. We're back after about a 5-year hiatus. And today with me, I got U.S. Army veteran Carl DeForest. Carl, ex-police chief, Brunswick, right?
Yes, sir.
What is your current job over there?
City manager, safety
City
director,
manager. So you manage the whole city of Brunswick.
Absolutely.
And everything that happens there.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Good, bad, or indifferent. So we're going to talk a little bit about Carl and his service and how he got to where he's at. So tell me a little bit about your background as far as, the Army goes.
So I went in the Army in 1980. I grew up in a big family in upstate New York, and I jokingly tell people that we were so poor we couldn't pay attention. If it cost 50 cents to go around the world, we didn't have enough money to get out of sight, and I didn't know anybody in my family or anybody else's that had ever gone to college. So my dad was in Korea in the Army. He was a track vehicle maintenance mechanic. And I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. And
right.
It was a nice opportunity because they had a 2-year enlistment because not a lot of people were joining, I guess. And so by the time I went to basic training, which was at Fort McClellan, Alabama, and military police basic and AIT, I went to Germany. I was there for about 1.5 years and then decided to re-enlist. And then I left there and went to Hawaii, spent 3 years on Oahu.
Wow.
Yeah. And got promoted to sergeant, and then I was going to get out, and I thought, well, I can either get out or I can re-enlist and go to drill sergeant school. So it's kind of a all or nothing.
Brown hat up there, yeah.
Oh yeah, and so I'd gone through air assault school when I was in Hawaii, and then I re-enlisted and went to drill sergeant school, and smoked that thing like a cheap cigar, and had the best experience I've ever had in my life was the 2 years I spent as a drill sergeant. Hardest job I ever had, long hours, working 100, 105 hours a week, but turning civilians into soldiers and giving back in great ways, and extremely exhausted all the time, but physically fit because you're running every place you went, and had to be in better shape than Joe was. So I spent 2 years on drill sergeant status, and then I left drill sergeant status, went to airborne school en route to Korea. Got stationed in 8th Army NCO Academy, just north of Seoul, and spent a year as an instructor there at PLDC, Primary Leadership Development Course. I think they call it the Warrior
Course, I think is what it's called, yeah.
And then I left there and went to Fort Drum, New York, dear place that you know well.
It's a big change from Hawaii to Fort Drum, huh?
Yeah. I remember
about 80 degrees, right?
About 80 degrees, yeah. Well, when I was in Hawaii, I remember one time I was really cold, and I was working a gate duty, and I started a fire in a trash can. Come to find out the next day that the wind chill was 48 degrees. And
wow.
that's a summer day in Fort Drum,
New
York.
Drum, yeah.
So my last duty station was Fort Drum, New York. I got out in 1990. I spent 10 years and 2 months in the Army. And when I got out, I came out to Ohio and been here ever since.
So you're military police from the Army. Did you always, and then obviously being the police chief in Brunswick, did you always plan on going into law enforcement, or did that just kind of carry over? Or, were you a good kid that you wanted to be a cop, or?
When I was growing up, I watched Gunsmoke and McCloud and all these shows, and wanted to be a detective or a police officer in some way, shape, or form. So that motivated me to go into military police training. And,
did you get to pick, or did they just go here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a real good ASVAB score. A buddy of mine didn't. He became a mechanic. I'm surprised he didn't make him a grunt. But so that's why I went into military police training, and really enjoyed it. But when I got out after 10 years, I remember saying that I don't want to be a police officer. But I started working at Federal Express part-time, going to Tri-C part-time, and that wasn't going anywhere because the way their hiring model was. So I saw the test notice for Brunswick Police, took the test, finished number 1, got hired in March of 1991, been there ever since. And it was a really, really good decision. I tell people the best decision I ever made in my life was going in the Army. And one of the top decisions I ever made was being a police officer. And it was a great opportunity to serve the community.
How is being a police officer in the civilian sector different than being a police officer in, and I would imagine in Seoul, you're dealing with, it's not just like Army stuff, you're dealing with guys and gals that are out there having a little bit of fun and partying. I mean, but how's it different? How's it the same?
Well, the one thing that's really significantly different between the military and the civilian sector in law enforcement is, if you get somebody's ID card in the military, you got them by the short hairs. They can't go anywhere, do anything. They can't get meals in the mess hall or anything of that nature. You could have all their IDs in the civilian world, and it doesn't matter to them. And they'll fight you. And there's no commander they got to report to, and they're never going to come back and apologize.
They don't get any trouble. It's just a pain in the butt for them. Yeah.
Yep. So, and another thing that changed too is I remember being stationed in Germany, and we were driving. The little Fords that used to explode when you hit them in the back over there. Pintos. We had those as patrol cars, believe it or not. 2-door Pintos where you'd have to fold the seat up, put your prisoner in the back, and as they're spitting on you, calling you all kinds of names.
Handcuff them and lay them down.
Exactly. And I remember driving a Pinto and chasing a guy who was trying to stop for speed. He was driving a Mercedes. I chased him for probably about 45 minutes, ended up way out of my jurisdiction. Don't even know.
And this is an American soldier, though.
I don't know. I never caught him. Okay. So I think it was a German national, but I chased him for 45 minutes, and now you don't do that anymore. You break off the pursuit and things of this nature, and you deal with a lot more variation of cases in the civilian world, and you didn't have MPI, military police investigator, CID, criminal investigation division to hand it off to. You just did the best you could in the military, and then dealt with the results. So
I mean, I would imagine in civilian sector, and I don't know what size department would matter, but I mean, you only have so many layers, and if it doesn't escalate to like an FBI case, then the department's got to handle it.
It's yours. Yeah. And that was the beauty too of civilian police work, is you could take a case from the initial probable cause up to the grand jury indictment for felonies, up to and including murder and rape and things of this nature, and it'd be your case. If you need a little help from the detectives, you would get it, but you could run with it, and solve those cases and give back to the community. And again, the big difference is, in civilian world, you have an area that's yours. The city of Brunswick's 13.1 square miles, population 35,426, and you're responsible for everything that happens in that jurisdictional boundary, where in the military you could have people who are transient, they're just in, they could be on leave, and you're trying to catch them or figure out what they're doing or whatever. So it's all interesting, though. Very, very rewarding.
So as far as, leadership goes, obviously you're in the Army for 10 years, you got some leadership experience there, and then you come out and you go to work as a policeman. You work yourself all the way up the ranks to police chief. And so how does that leadership transform? And what did you use from the Army, good, bad, or indifferent, as your time as a police officer and then eventually police chief of Brunswick?
Well, I learned in the military that when you went someplace, you kept your mouth shut when you first got there, because nobody cares where you're from, what you did, what you know. They've got to figure you out. They're going to test you in some way, shape, or form, and figure out whether you're going to be a worthy teammate, and if you're going to lean into it and do more than your share. And once you prove yourself, then those folks are your buddies forever. And so I applied that same standard when I joined the Division of Police here, and then studied and studied. Every time there was a promotion, got promoted to sergeant, lieutenant, and chief. And then 8 years ago, after 11 years as police chief, I retired and took over as Brunswick city manager. And you do what you can, when you can do it, and do the right thing at the right time for the right reason. And normally, things will line up. But you also learn that the biggest headaches are personnel issues, because there's one or two people that can't do what they're supposed to, and give you nothing but headaches.
But I think that's good advice, though. Is anybody that's coming into a new environment. I don't care if you're a McDonald's store manager or a CEO. When you come in, everybody wants to put their fingerprint on something. Everybody wants to change things.
but you really got to sit back and look and watch how the operation runs. And whether you already know how it runs, it at least gives those people a chance to show you how they're doing business. And and that's, I think now we see a lot of leaders that come in and go, hey, day one, this is the way it's going to be, and I'm going to change things. And number one, I think you lose a lot of respect because you're not giving them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, they expect changes, but I think you should at least give the people the benefit of the doubt to go, let me see how you're running things here.
Yeah, I would agree. And to that point, there was an old Navy veteran, Bucky Schuster, who's now retired from Division of Police. He actually came up while I was in the police academy. He wasn't supposed to be talking to me, but he didn't mind breaking a rule or two every once in a while. He goes, so you're the new guy in Brunswick. He said, I tell you what, when you get there, he said, keep your mouth shut, which I already had designs on, and then ask the old guys, like, hey, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?
Right.
And he said, you express interest in what they're doing, and they'll share with you, and they'll make it makes them feel more comfortable. He said, you'll know why they're doing it. Like, for instance, somebody will cut the trigger finger out of their glove so that they can get their finger in there in cold weather and all this. You know the answer to that, but you'll express interest in that. And he says, that'll really help you. And so I give Bucky Schuster credit for helping me transition into.
And it gives people a chance, I mean, at least it makes you show some interest. So going from law enforcement though to city manager, I can't imagine the change in that, because, well, not that you're not running 100 miles an hour now, but I mean, as a police officer in law enforcement, it's a whole different world than city manager of let me deal with problems, let me deal with situations. Not that you're not dealing with people anymore, but you're not strong-arming people, I guess, to say. It just seems like it would be a big change for someone.
Yeah, some people would disagree with the strong-arming comment, but in law enforcement, again, what you're concerned with is the well-being of your folks, the safety and security of the community, and probable cause. If you got probable cause, you're arresting somebody, and you're going to go from there. In city management, you have a lot more nuances. I've got a $35 million budget, 120 full-time people, about 80 part-time people. But you can't solve every problem. You don't have all the resources to solve problems. Some people want you working on their private property, which you can't do. And as city manager, I work for 7 council members, 4 ward council members and 3 at large. And they've got their ideas of what they want me to do. And sometimes I can fulfill those wishes and desires, sometimes I can't. And then as city manager, I oversee, the city manager, safety director, oversee all the people, and specifically Division of Police and Division of Fire, so I got to know about their operation. So it's a broader spectrum of knowledge and application of those skill sets. And then you've got to negotiate the collective bargaining agreements with the various unions. We've got 6 of those, and that's never a lot of fun.
I want to say you got to be a little nicer, but it's a different kind of nice, I would imagine.
Yes. And you got to follow up on things, and I've told people, even if the answer is no, I'll get back to you. I want you to replace my sidewalk in front of my house because it's broken or whatever. Well, I know the answer is going to be no, but I'll do a little research and I'll come back. And
do you find, we're both in government business, so do you find that some people don't think you should do anything for them and you shouldn't even be there, and then other people think you should do the world for them?
Yes.
It seems like.
Yep. And most people are in the middle and understand that you can do certain things, you can't do other things.
Yeah.
But the folks that are on the other ends of the spectrum, especially the ones who want you to do everything for them, really expect that, you know. And for instance, every winter I get an email from this lady who complains that we use too much salt, and how can she keep her car clean with all the salt on the road? And then 2 weeks later,
I wonder that myself, but
2 weeks later, she's complaining that there's ice at an intersection. Why didn't you put more salt? And
it is what it is.
She's not somebody you're going to make happy, So that's just the way it goes.
It is what it is. And I think what I tell people is, here's the law. I'm just following it. I'm just do as much as I can for you, or as little as I can for you, but I'm just following the law. It's not Ed making it up. You know what I'm saying? I think you're in the same position with a lot of that stuff.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
So tell me a little bit about, so you've been around the county for a long time, and you recently got appointed to the Medina County Veterans Service Commission as a new commissioner for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. What's your perspective? And I know you've only had a couple months to look at it, but enough time to get a perspective. What's your perspective on what the Veterans Service Commission is here to do and how to do it?
Well, I got out of the Army in 1990, and I really didn't have any contact with the Veterans Service Office till maybe 5-6 years ago. I came to you about some paperwork. And I wish I'd known more earlier. And then I wish I'd gotten a little bit more involved to be able to give back to the community of veterans,
Right.
because less than 10% of Americans serve in the military, and I'll be damned, we should do more for them. And the Veteran Service Office does anything and everything they can to help veterans qualify for financial aid or disability ratings, and make sure that they know what they can get, what they
Right.
can't get,
Right.
and if they have a question, they get an answer. I just went to some training as the new commissioner, and people were talking about, well, when I mustered out, I went to a 3-day class. Well, I didn't go to a 3-day class. I think they
Right.
handed me my DD 214 and said, yeah, you'll get some stuff in the
Hit the
mail,
road,
and I'll
yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah,
And
get your TV and go.
yeah, and I got my stuff and got the heck out of
Yeah.
there. And it's really, really unfortunate. And hopefully Department of Defense or Department of War or whoever's in charge of all that stuff now is taking better care of the men and women who are being discharged from whatever military branch they decided to go into, so that they're better prepared to make that transition to civilian life. And I found it very insightful, and just like when I went to drill sergeant school, I thought I was high speed, low drag, tip of the spear, knew everything there was to know. And then I realized, well, I might know about that much
little bit,
out of this
Yeah.
much of a spectrum. And so it's just like come into the Veteran Service Office as a commissioner, realizing that I know this much of
There's a lot to know.
that, so I'll keep working on it.
So I was in Washington last week, and one of the conversations was about the TAP, the Transition Assistance Program. And it's funny, I've been doing this a few years, and it always gets brought up about, the information provided to our service members when they get out of the service. And folks like me, we've been pushing that, big DOD, big VA, you need to tell people about us, because people don't come home to the VA in Washington,
Right.
D.C. They come home to a little old Veteran Service Office. And I think they've gotten better at it, but still veterans or service members get out of the service. They go through, now it's a 2-week program, which, they should have ample time to transition. But they're still not given that resource of, you're going to this state or this county, here is the local person to go see. And we're kind of still perplexed at that, as how veterans show up and have heard nothing about us, when, DOD or Department of War, whatever they are, continues to say, well, we want to do all we can for our service. And they give them a ton of resources, but all those resources always go back to a 1-800 number or, some large entity that they really can't work with. And I think it's important because we're local, we're here, right?
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is there was a small breakout at some training I recently went to, and I think it's called Onward Bound. Mm-hmm. A one-star general, retired, started as 501c3, and he wants to establish relationships with county offices or the state of Ohio, so that if there's somebody mustering out of the Army or Marine Corps or Navy, God help us, and it's coming to Medina County, we would know before they got here.
Right.
And you could send them a letter and say, hey,
Right.
welcome to Medina County, we're here for you. And an interesting statistic is former military people, veterans, commit suicide at a rate of 240% higher than the
Right.
civilian rate.
It is, yeah.
The first 12 to 18 months.
Two-thirds higher, yeah.
Yeah, which is sad and ridiculous. So
And if they're connected, it's lower.
Yeah.
Those that are connected.
Yeah.
So it's funny because, years ago, the military used to send the discharge to, the state of Ohio, and they would get all these discharges. What they did with them is file them. I don't think there was any connectivity. I mean, there wasn't email and all that stuff. They might have sent them a letter. And, before that, even the county office, when there was a local draft board would find out. But now, and I get it, that, security reasons, you can't be giving me people, privacy. Maybe they don't want to connect with me,
Right,
whatever.
right.
And so, we understood that. We went back to DOD and the VA and said, well, if you can't give us their information, give them our information. And there is a small recent change on it now. They said that the new discharges, and I'm not sure when it's going to take place, but they're going to give the service member an option to put a civilian email on it. Because, it's funny, they got their military email. Well, guess what? The minute they hand them that discharge, that military email is gone. So they're supposed to give them a civilian email, and then somehow they're going to share that database with the states. Now, the state of Ohio has always been a pretty working relationship with the county veteran service officers. We're hoping we can get those emails, or at least go, here's information, send it out to the folks in the state of Ohio, and push them down to us. Because I mean, for all intentional purposes, most people in Medina County were the VA to them. I mean, they come here for their services. They don't go to Washington, but it's just interesting. Hopefully those changes will work out. So what's your expectations? What are you hoping to accomplish while you're on the commission here?
Again, have a lot better understanding of the opportunities to help veterans. I'm also on the board of the Medina County Veteran Memorial Fund. I'm looking to get involved in the Veteran Treatment Court, Medina Municipal Court. And again, as I transition to being retired, I want to have a little bit more opportunity to help folks who have helped us, you know, and again, stand up for them, look out for their rights. And there's things that you can do to help veterans, which I want to put myself in a better position to do that.
It's good to help your brothers and sisters out there. You mentioned the Medina County Veterans Memorial Fund, 501c3. I want to point a separate entity from this office, but we work very closely with them. They're able to do things that we're not. I think last year they were at about $55,000 they gave out to veterans. Again, can't help everybody though, but I think they do a great job in doing some things that we just can't here in the office. So what would you have to say to those? I mean, we're in a period right now that, you know, we just ended a war that was going on for 20 years, and we really don't know where we're going. But, you know, not to get political or anything like that, but what would you tell young folks out there about the military and the service and advice if they were to go, hey, Carl, should I join the military?
I would say the best decision I ever made in my life was going in the Army. It gave me an opportunity to learn about myself, learn about people, learn about people who are different from me, and again, travel around the world. I was stationed in Germany, Hawaii, Alabama, Korea, upstate New York, where it's cold beyond belief, and set myself up for a wonderful career. And even if you don't transition to a career that's similar to what you had in the military, you're going to learn a lot about yourself and a lot about people and a lot about your country, and that pride will be with you forever. So if you have an opportunity to go, you should, even if you do 3 years or 4 years and get out. I'd say the overwhelming majority will look back at it as one of the most positive experiences in their entire life. Yeah,
it's funny because, you know, going through the service, you know, especially when you're younger, you're private, you know, doing 3 years or whatever. It's day after day, well, this stinks, this stinks, this stinks. But then, you know, I give the opportunity to talk to guys like you and even older today, and the best times of their life was those 3 years that stunk every day they were in. You know, it's just the memories and stuff like that. I just want to close out a little bit and give you an opportunity to share your thoughts about, you know, whatever it is you want to close out with.
You know, I feel blessed beyond belief to be in Medina County, to be in the city of Brunswick. Medina County has better leadership than most counties that we touch, and most counties in the state of Ohio. And we get along, the leadership at different positions, you know, city leadership, township leadership, Medina County commissioners, and the veterans in Medina County give back to the community, and it's a great place to be. And again, if folks are in Brunswick and they need something, they should reach out to me. If they need something from the Veteran Service Office, they should reach out to you, and we're here to help them. And I think it's a humbling opportunity to better serve other people.
Yeah, I always tell people, you know, I've been saying this since I got here too, because I'm a replant. You know, I moved to Medina County when I retired, and it is a great place to be a veteran. You don't see parades and support like you do in Medina County everywhere. I mean, you know, generally you may, but there's places that generally don't like us too. I mean, you know, they seem hard to believe, but there are. And even, you know, with our local officials, and, you know, if I call a police chief and say, hey, I got a veteran doing this or doing that, you know, they're always willing to step up and go out and help and work with the veterans. So it is a great place to be a veteran. So I ask everybody, this is our inaugural show coming back after 5 years. I always asked everybody that was on the show, if you had the opportunity to do it again and serve your country, would you?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Carl, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Memorial Day this year is Monday, May 25th. I encourage you all to take pause to remember and reflect the sacrifices those have given to our nation. All the municipalities will have some type of event, and I encourage you to attend one. Here in Brunswick, the Memorial Day ceremony starts at the Brunswick Middle School, followed by a parade to Westview Cemetery. Medina, Wadsworth, Lodi, all will have some type of event. Additionally, the Ohio Western Reserve National Cemetery will have its flag placement for Memorial Day on Saturday, May 23rd at 9 a.m. The ceremony will be Sunday, May 24th at 2 p.m. I encourage you to attend these events. Take a minute, pause, and remember the sacrifices given by those service members and their families so that we can remain free. Thank you.